Okay, in today's test, we're going to find out if this Makita MAC 700 compact air compressor with a 50-foot 3/8 hose and my Ingersoll Rand 2135 Ti will take off this wheel on my 2010 F-150, torque down to 140 foot-pounds. Let's go! Well, I thought that was pretty good. What did you think? So the air compressor kicked on for about the last two wheel nuts, and this is really a continuation from last week's video. Last week's video was a huge in-depth discussion about air compressors and what kind of air compressor you are thinking about buying, and I'll put a link down below if you want to take a look at that video. But today I just wanted to prove the concept of when you're thinking about buying an air compressor, how big of a compressor do you actually need, right? And I mean, I proved that you can use this right here to take your wheels off, put your wheels back on, no problem at all. And it's small, compact, and you know, when it comes down to it, what do you need, right? I mean, there's a lot of people I see, they got these great big 80-gallon compressors with twin pistons on the top, putting out about 30 CFM, and you know, this does the exact same thing, right? So last week I said, well, leave all the math to me. I'm going to do the math. So today I'm going to show you. I did a little bit of changes on the compressor, and I'll show you the math first because I said I'm going to do all the math. So I did the math before I actually bought this compressor, and I did the math using this particular impact wrench. Now this is over, I would say it's at least 25 years old. So that's how good I like air tools over electric. When I'm at my shop here, yeah, I use everything with air. And then of course I've got the DeWalt cordless impact, and it's great for remote locations, but I prefer the air. And so that's just my own personal choice. But you know, don't run away now. I'm gonna show you the math. It's only gonna take a couple of seconds here, and I'll go through the process of what I did when figuring out how big of a compressor do I need that could do all my, all my needs. So if I want to take my air tools up to a remote location, if I got a place to plug it in, well, this will work. This will work for all the tools that I showed in last week's video. And the air tools that, like a regular shop would use, or a carpenter would use framing, like I demonstrated the framing nailer. This compressor does it all. So let's just take a look at the math, and I'll just show you a couple of things that I've changed on the compressor already, just to suit my needs. And let's get to the math right there. Okay, let's take a look at the math here. So let's just go quickly. So here is the impact wrench that I have, and it uses 5 CFM maximum. So if we take a look at, we converted everything to cubic inches because, well, that's what you have to do. You have to convert everything to cubic inches, from CFM to cubic inches. So we've got 8,640 cubic inches in 5 cubic feet, right? Then we go down to my compressor. So the compressor is a 2.6 gallon tank, and we got 2.6 times 1 gallon is 231 cubic inches. So we've got roughly 600, right? 600 cubic inches. And then we go down to the 3/8 hose. You got to include the hose because the hose is all full of air too, right? And it's all pressurized at the same amount. You got roughly another 66 cubic inches. So the total volume of air in cubic inches that this compressor holds is around 666 cubic inches. And now we get down to the Ingersoll Rand gun itself at a maximum of 5 CFM. Well, there's no way I would never use the whole capacity of the impact. So I'm making an assumption of about 50% of the applied torque. So you take the total amount of CFM, or of cubic inches, divided by 50% of the torque being used, because there were 140 foot-pounds being torqued on them wheel nuts, and there are 6 of them. And I knew I wasn't using 100% capacity, so I just made a judgment of 50%. And it's 4320 cubic inches. Now there's 60 seconds in a minute, so you have to divide it by seconds, right? Because everything is done by seconds now. So the amount of cubic inches used by that impact gun at a 50% load is about 72 cubic inches per second. So the total on time is roughly about 6 seconds, or about 1 second a wheel nut. That's 432 cubic inches. So I have a reserve capacity of 234 cubic inches left over, or about 3.2 seconds left over. Okay, so let's just take a look at some of the things that I've changed on the compressor already. I didn't like the way this comes out like this, because it's going to constantly tug on this all the time. So I brought it down here, and I just put some zip ties on here to hold this completely steady, so this will never move off of this position, and I'm never going to be pulling on this. And then I come around to this side, and it just loops underneath. Come around to this side, and I just got some Velcro, one here, and one here. Then it loops around the handle and comes back and just sits there. And that's it right there. So very easy to move around and compact. So actually I had about 3 seconds left of air to use on that air tank, and when the air tank started up at 100 psi on the last 2 wheel nuts, well, it was adding air as well, right? So there's a lot of variables that come into it, but really when you're thinking about buying an air compressor, you know what? I did all the math. I proved that you could take the wheel nuts off, and that's an F-150 with 140 foot-pounds. A lot of people don't have 140 foot-pounds for wheel nuts, right? We're not taking wheel nuts off of tractor trailers, and you know, I wasn't doing it that fast. It's not like I'm a NASCAR guy, you know, zing, 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 zing. I mean, if you're that fast, well, guess what? You do better time, right? I'm saying, yeah, I went more in depth last week about this compressor, but you know what? I'm saying this compressor is just, well, I like it, and I like it a lot. So thanks for joining me here today, and of course I have no affiliation with any of these products. You're watching a review channel where I buy it myself, I review it myself, and I give an honest opinion on its, well, its durability over time. And I'm going to review this in the future, but I expect it to be the same quality and standards as what I showed in last week's video of my other Makita air compressor that is bigger than this one. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting reviews and real reviews. Cheers.